Hello, and welcome to Flaco's Fun World Podcast. This is a show that is hosted by none other than Flaco The Great, who wants to bring laughter and joy to your faces. Whether you like movies like Star Wars or Marvel, or games like Five Nights at Freddy's, Bendy, Minecraft, or perhaps you are into funny stories about Flaco's life, we have it all. Now sit back, my friends, and enjoy today's episode on Flaco's Fun World Podcast.
Everybody sit down. Everybody sit down. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Flaco The Great, and hope you guys are excited for yet another wonderful episode. Stop! You're making me tear up a bit. I haven't even started yet, guys. I'm just trying to. Oh, my video just uploaded to Instagram. Aidan has Instagram? That's right. I'll put a link in my description down below. That way you guys can follow me on Instagram. I just uploaded a little short for one of my podcasts I did with Dom. Love my brother. Hope you're watching this or listening to this, man. I got you. Shout out to him. I'll put his Instagram account in his description too today. I'm feeling good today because I'm pretty excited for what I might be actually doing at work today, believe it or not. But like I said, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Flaco The Great, and welcome back to Flaco's Fun World Podcast. Oh, stop! Shut up. I mean, I'm so sorry. Hey, guys, and everybody watching in the backstage. I didn't mean it. Because, my mom's working right now. We can't just be like, oh. Okay, so we have to be like. Today is a Bible podcast. I can't be saying shut up on a podcast. That's my apologies. I just want to give it all to the glory of God today. Amen. So today, guys, episode is very exciting. I did mention a bit ago, and I believe it was when I was doing one about my ranking all the FNAF games, which you guys seem to really love. So I should probably do some more FNAF episodes. You know what I'm saying? Because FNAF 2 coming to theaters, but that's not the point right now. But you guys may already know, I've been wanting to do this episode for a bit now, and I'm actually really excited. I already got the perfect title for this. In fact, I'm gonna write that down real quick. Are they gonna see it right now? Whatever. I call it Bible Verses. Now, not for people who are watching this on YouTube or Spotify, not VERSES, but VS. Today's episode is called Bible Verses. And before we actually get into what exactly why it's called Bible Verses, I wanted to do a quick small talk. So for people who lived in Reno, you may have noticed that recently the weather has sucked. For instance, last night at work, when me and Liberty were at work, I already said that, it began to rain and thunder and lightning a lot, to the point we had to pull in IPOS, which is the people who take orders outside, and we had to start doing headset inside. But dude, that was crazy, man. But Sunday was even worse for people who, and Dom, you know what we were talking about. So me and Dom and a friend of his were going to go see Fantastic Four in theaters, right? Well, actually, we were going to go see Superman, but then we decided we wanted to do Fantastic Four instead. And then, even though I already saw it, but I was like, yo, I'm willing to see it again with him. But then, while he was on his way, there was a big thunderstorm that just came out of nowhere. The sky was orange, and then it was lightning and raining super hard, and it was super windy. And where Dom was when he called me, he was like, the roads are beginning to flood, and he didn't think we would be able to make it because it just wasn't safe to drive in that weather. And I was like, you know what, man? Yeah, I don't want to risk him getting hurt, and so we had to move it. We are hoping maybe we can do it maybe this Saturday or Friday. Don't know, but we'll figure it out, okay? The point is, we gotta hang out. I feel like it's been a bit, but don't worry, Dom. We're gonna. No storm is going to get through us. Not today, and not ever. Sipping my FNAF coffee mug. Oh, I am so sorry. Where was I? Oh yeah, man. Other than that, work has been not too shabby. I really am excited for today. However, should I tell you guys? All right, I'll give you a hint. Hang on. I'll give you guys a hint for those of you who are watching. Only the viewers will know what the hint is. Yeah? That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. Or I can just say I was holding up a Grinch mask. That's my hint for those of you who have no idea what might happen today at work. But that's all I'm gonna say because I want to wait till after it actually happens so that way I can dive into how exactly it went. But I will say though that we are doing the Christmas in July at Chick-fil-A today. So, and I feel like it's actually a thing where people do Christmas in July, but that's beside the point. We're doing a Christmas in July, and we really are excited, and I'm definitely excited to see how this goes. And but that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. Anything else happened recently? Not really. I do know mom and dad are leaving on a cruise on August 5th. Yeah, they're going on a cruise again without us. So it's just gonna be me, Lib, and Lily because Lydia and Sky will be living at the. Wait, where are they staying with? The McCollum's house. That's what they're staying with. Yeah, the McCollum's house. Um, those of you who don't know, they're close friends of ours. They're like family to us. But yeah, so that's gonna be fun. So for a whole week, we will be without our parents, and it's just like, well, you would think you'd be like, yeah, no family in the house. Nah, me, I'm like, bruh, I want to go on a cruise, and I just found out they're gonna be riding Humpty Dumpty camels. Humpty Dumpty camels. I don't even want to ride camels, but at the same time, I want to ride camels. Do I really have to stay? Why can't I come? It's fine though. Mom and dad deserve it. They've done so much for us over the years, and maybe they just need a good old vacation. They need a break from us, because handling how many teens? 4 teens, plus a young little baby child, Skylar. Which is not really a baby, but to me she is. Man, it takes a lot. Plus, work, getting us to work, church. Sometimes God says for us to rest, man. That's why He rested on the seventh day. And mom and dad, they just need that rest, man. And they definitely deserve it. They've done so much for us, even when we don't even deserve it. So they do deserve this vacation. I just thought maybe that I could have been a part of it. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to guilt trip them. I don't know if it's working. But that's besides the point. I really hope they do have fun. And dude, the next FNAF anniversary is like, wait, how many weeks is it? I don't think I'm going to do anything too crazy, but we got to do an episode. Okay, so August 8th will be the FNAF anniversary. So that would be 11 years of FNAF. I wonder if they'll actually do anything. I don't know if they will, but you never really know until you know. But I'm going to keep posted with them to see if they do anything special. Um Oh yeah, I am working on an episode about actually doing the FNAF 2 movie trailer review because I feel like there's a lot of stuff that I didn't go over too much in the video that I really want to in the podcast because I feel like that's what kind of the podcast is for, just to talk and to go over stuff as long as I want. But anything else? Not really, man. I feel like today's episode may not be too crazy long. What the? Oh, it's just Instagram. Okay. I was like, what is this? But yeah, man, that's pretty much it. All right. Do we have like battle music? Wait, hang on. I'm gonna try something real quick. Um, wait, what? Do y'all see my screen? Oh no, I can just see my screen. Actually, I have no idea. Battle music, free download. Okay. Happy New Year. Yo, I kind of like that. I don't know if y'all hear that. I'm hoping you didn't because then I would just ruined it. So I'm just gonna leave this here. Okay. So now upload media. I feel like I should have been more prepared for this. This is Here we go. So where's it at? Still loading. Ah! All right, I'm gonna put it about right here. And my text. Let's do longer than 10 seconds. Let's do like, yeah, let's just turn it off. We don't even need a timer. All right, put up the logo. And now for the music. Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever wondered what would happen if we put two famous Bible superhero characters against each other? What if I told you that we can do that in this episode today? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Bible Verses. Hype up that music. I'm not sure how that's gonna look in post production, so I'm really hoping it doesn't look. I always look stupid, anyways, but it's fine. But that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Bible Verses. For this is something that I've been really wanting to do, and I'm actually really excited about. And hopefully, something that I will keep doing on this podcast. I feel like we have never done a game time in a very long time. Where, game time kind of like would you rather and all that. But I feel like today we're going to change it up a bit and we're going to do Bible verses. That's VS, not VERSES. So the point of Bible verses is we're going to be doing a competition to see about which Bible character would possibly win against the other Bible character. I know what you're thinking. Why? Because I'm a genius. Duh. I mean, who else can market a name called Bible Verses? Dude, I am a genius. I don't care what you say. I may not look like it, but I have a brain cell in there somewhere. Sometimes it just clicks. So that's right, Bible Verses. We're going to be putting up two Bible superheroes, or it can just be any Bible characters, and we're going to put them face to face. So in order for this to work, I will be telling their story, and then I'll tell the other person's story, and then we'll go over like their strengths, their weaknesses, and in my personal opinion, who I think will win. But you guys can also decide who you think would win against the other person. You just let me know in the comments below. If not, that's okay. At least say it out loud. I won't be able to hear you, but at least I think you can participate. But I really am excited for this. And for today, I really want to do two classic heroes that were personally my favorite listening to growing up at church when I was a kid. And today we're going to be doing David versus Samson. For people who know, David is the one who slew the giant, and Samson was known as one of the strongest person, I guess I can say, in the world. And in order for us to judge who will win, we'll be telling their stories about what made them superheroes. And we'll go over their strengths, their weaknesses, and then I will decide who the winner is going to be. So I'm going to first start with David. Now, I honestly don't have my Bible anymore, so I gotta get a new one. Actually, that'll be actually kind of cool. I gotta go Bible shopping. This. Well, I know the story of David. I was gonna read it as like a Bible verse, but honestly, okay. What I can say is if you want to read about the story of David, you can just go to 1 Samuel 17 and then you get to actually know more about who David is and what made him such a hero in the Bible. But so the story of David, it all starts many years ago. And I'm talking many, like many of the manys that you can possibly think of right now. Um, war between the Philistines and the Israelites was happening at that time. Now, during that time, we already had a king, and his name was Saul. However, Saul wasn't the greatest king ever. In fact, he disobeyed God twice, and when he did the second time, God said that he would no longer be king, and he would find someone else to be that king. Obviously, that's going to be David, and we'll get to there in just a second. So God sent Samuel to find another king, and he told him to go to the house of Jesse. And Jesse had, this is the part I don't remember. I don't remember how many sons, but he had sons. And Samuel thought at least like the eldest son was going to be king. But then God told him, no, this is not the king that I've chosen. He went to the next son, to the next son, to the next son, to the next son. But God said no to all of them. Samuel being like, okay, man. So who be the new king, right? And then he asked Jesse, yo, man, well, I don't, they don't talk like that, but yo, man, like, do you have like another son? And Jesse's like, yeah, I actually do. He's a shepherd boy named David. He's up the hills. So David's job was to be a shepherd, and his brothers, I believe, I'm pretty sure they all were soldiers for Israel. At least I know the eldest was. And, but he was just a shepherd boy. Now, he was a very tiny boy. I'm talking like Liliana's height. For those of you who know Liliana, she's short, right? So, but yeah, and David, he's playing his little harp. Sleep, sheep. I don't know. Sleep, sheep. Sleep, sheep. You're so dumb and not so clean. You remind me of people, they're dumb little sheep. Oh, Lord, please set them free. I should lead the worship team. What am I doing with my life? I'm doing great things in my life. Okay, that's back to the story. Okay. So that's basically what he did. He would just sing music to the sheep as he watched the sheep on the hill. And God told Samuel, he will be the anointed king of Israel. So he got David, he told him what God said, and he poured like this ointment on his head to represent like he's going to be like the new king after Saul, right? So now we know, okay, David is going to become the next king of Israel. Now, during this time, they were ready. Israel was ready to go against the Philistines, and they're like, "Yeah, we got King Saul, man. We got this. There's no way we're gonna lose." And then, well, I don't know if the Jaw song thing played, but that would be. I feel like that would kind of work with the character I'm about to mention. But next thing you know, a giant appears. I'm talking 9 feet tall. A giant appears, and his name is Goliath. And when Israel saw the giant, oh man, they were terrified. And Goliath, he was like, "You think you're so cool? You think you're as strong as me? No one can defeat me. I am Goliath the giant. I will crush you like the worms you are. But of course, let's make a deal. Send your best warrior at me. If he defeats me, we will be your slaves. However, if I beat your best warrior, you will be our slaves. So, who dares challenge me, the great and mighty Goliath?" Now you would think, that they were like, how hard can it be? Nah, they were scared. Nobody wanted to go down and face Goliath. They were very terrified. And so they all were like, nah, we good. And Goliath was just making fun of them. He's like, "You coward. You and your mighty God is no match for me." And so that happened. Nobody would go down to fight Goliath. They were all very scared of him. I mean, I would too if I saw a giant wearing lots of armor. How did they find armor for him that would fit him? Actually, did they build that? Yo, these questions linger in my mind when I sleep. It's like, how do seahorse boys have babies? Okay, no, that's not. Oh, but have you ever wondered? Not the point. But you guys know, sometimes I just can't sleep and these questions would just ponder in my head, you know? But, so yeah. Jesse tells David, I need you to bring some food for your brothers on the battlefield. So as David does, he sees all the Israelites talking. And then he can hear the giant Goliath just boasting and being an annoying nuisance, right? And then David went to one of the guards. He's like, yo, like, what's going on? And they're like, there's this big warrior named Goliath. And he's asking to fight one of our best warriors, but nobody wants to go down there and fight him. Now David became angry. Not because people were too scared, but because Goliath was mocking their God. Now David, he had the heart of a child of God. Like, he loved God, he worshiped God, and like he did not like Goliath making fun of his God. And he was very angry. And he was like, why would nobody go down there? Can't you see he is mocking our he's mocking our God? You know? And then one of the older brothers, he was very mad. He was already mad at David because David was going to be king anyway. He's like, oh, you shouldn't be on the battlefield because you're a little brat. How about you go back in the hill where you belong? Leave it to the big boys. You ever have an older sibling like that? You know? I mean, I can't say I don't. Well, I mean, yeah. So, no. Yeah, well. All right, so what happened next? Oh, yes. David was like, you know what? I will fight Goliath. Now, I can know what you all were thinking. In fact, I'm going to play it. This is probably what all the guards were doing when he said that. Yeah, that's probably what happened. I mean, David's not even a warrior. He's a shepherd boy. He's tiny, especially compared to Goliath. They're like, you're going to die. But one of the guards heard them, and they sent him to Saul. Now, Saul, he's not an evil king. However, he does do some pretty evil things, but that's not something we'll actually talk about because although there is many stories that have to do with David, the one that I'm focusing on is like I feel like the one that everybody knows about. That's David and Goliath. Although there's a lot of cool stories about David. Like I said, you can check it out in Samuel's. It talks about a lot in the Bible. But Saul hears this. He brings forth David, and he's like, "So let me get this straight, kid. You want to go fight a 9-foot giant named Goliath, and how are you going to do that? You're a tiny boy. You ain't even a soldier in my Israel army." And then David tells a story. He says, when I was watching my sheep on the hill, a lion attacked one of my sheep. But I grabbed my lasso and my rock and I went right in the forehead, killing the lion instantly. And then another time, a bear attacked and actually got one of my sheep and tried to run off. But through the power of my mighty God, I lassoed right in the forehead, killing the bear. And he's like, as long as I got the power of God beside me, no giant can defeat me and God. Saul realized this boy was courageous and that he would not change his mind. So he says, all right, go. But first, I'm going to make you wear armor. Now, like I said, David is a very tiny boy. Maybe not like very, very tiny, but he's short. So when they tried to put the armor on him, it wouldn't even fit him. Not the helmet, not the breastplate, not the belt, the shield. It was too big on him. He's like, I don't really think this will fit, my lord. But I have everything I need. Takes off the armor, and all he does is just grab pebbles and a slingshot. Now everybody thinks this kid is crazy. Like, they're like, can you at least get like a knife or something? You're going to use a slingshot? But David knew that he had the power of God with him. So he marches down to the battlefield. And then he says, yo, Goliath, I will fight you. And Goliath was just like, who sent this petty dog to come fight me? You have no weapons, no sword, no shield, not even a knife. What makes you think you can beat me? And then David's all like, you come at me with a sword and shield, but I come at you with the power of God. And everybody knows that the power of God is stronger than anything else on this planet, as long as you put your faith and trust in him. And boy, did David have great faith. And Goliath is just like, you and your God is no match for the power of me and the Philistines. And the battle begins. But it also ends before it even started. David puts his rock in his slingshot, or who knows? Maybe they fight. Goliath try to swing, and maybe David does like a backflip and a little spin jitsu or something. I don't know. And then he puts the pebble in the slingshot, and he goes, whoosh, whoosh, and I can guess this is probably in slow mo. And the stone was just like, right in the center of Goliath's forehead. And you know what happens? Falls and is dead. Like that. And all the Philistines are like, ha ha! Did he just? I'm sure he's still alive. Nope, not after what David does. He grabs Goliath's sword and goes shling on his head. Cuts it off. And then the Philistines are like, nope. No, he's dead. And they all run away. And the Israelite soldiers are like, let's go get the Philistines. Ah! But ever since then, David was praised for killing the giant Goliath himself. And that is just where the great story of David just begins, by the slaughtering of Goliath. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed that story. I have not told that story in so long, dude. But yeah, so we already got some good points for David, okay? He has great faith in God, and that makes him pretty strong. He killed a giant with just a slingshot and a rock. While he's not built soldier-wise during this time, he still was able to defeat a giant. A giant, people. A giant. But yes, he is a young boy in this story. He's not the king yet. So we're just talking about David when he was young, after he killed the giant, is something we can talk about another time. But now it's time to move on from him and move on to a hero of the Bible in the book of Judges named Samuel. Now, first, I want to check something real quick. Wait, what is this? Man, that was a long time ago. Painting with the cows. Interesting. All right. Sorry, that was the Chick-fil-A post. So the book of Samuel is definitely a lot different from, not the book of Samuel. Sorry, the story about Samson is a lot different than the story about David, because there's a lot going on in this. But during this time, Israel was not listening to God. They were worshiping false idols and not God. And, God was not having it. So, obviously Samson was not the first judge, because this wasn't the first time this has happened. When they would worship gods and not the actual God, he would let people like the Philistines or the Canaanites actually take over Israel and make them like their servants and slaves. And then when Israel was finally ready to repent, he would send a judge to set them free. And one of the judges that we're about to mention is Samson. This was during the time when the Philistines, yet again, had rule over Israel. And so God needed a new judge, and Samson was that new judge. Now, it all started with, I honestly can't remember the parents' names, but they were not ready to have a child. In fact, I don't think they were able to have a child until one day an angel comes to them and tells them that they will have a son, and his name will be Samson. But there was some rules that Samson had to follow, since he was going to be a judge, right? He is literally a judge for God in the story. It was he couldn't have wine, and he can't eat anything like unclean, I would say, like honey or something like that. And he was not allowed to cut his hair. Was yet another one of the big rules. I might have missed one more. I don't even know if I said one of them correctly. It's been a while, but I do believe that was, like, I know he couldn't have wine. I know he couldn't eat like honey, and he couldn't have his hair cut, something like that. But it was those kind of rules. So Samson, though, was not your typical nice guy. He was more of a prideful, boastful man. But he was very strong, like super strong, like a superhuman, like Superman strong. He couldn't fly and shoot lasers, but he was super strong. there was, I can't remember the girl's name. It's not Delilah. She's the next girl he liked, but there was a girl that he liked, like really, really liked, and she really liked him. However, she was a Philistine. Now, the Philistines are the enemy of Israel, but he's in love with the Philistines. Like, come on, man. Like, what are you doing? But he really liked this girl, and he wanted this girl. And he's like, Mom, Dad, I want to marry this girl. And they're like, wait, I'm sorry, but that's a Philistine. I don't care. I want to marry this girl. Yeah, but he's like, I don't care. I want to marry this girl. I can do whatever I want. I'm a big boy. Well, does that sound familiar? Anyways, he wanted to marry this girl. He really liked this girl. Like, really liked this girl. So, I do have to look up this part because there are some parts about Samson I don't remember. Like, dude, it's been so long. No, that's... There we go. Married a Philistine woman. Well, it's not telling me the story, though. Sorry, I'm trying to find it. Maybe it was chapter 15. I think this is, yeah. Okay, yeah. So, his father and mother replied that they wanted to marry him. Okay, so Samson went down to Timnah together with his father and mother. As they approached the vineyards of Timnah, suddenly a young lion came roaring toward him. The Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon him, so that he tore the lion apart with his bare hands as he might have torn a young goat. But he neither told his father nor his mother what he had done. Yet he went down and talked with the woman, and he liked her. Okay, so that was the next part that happened. So he was on his way to go see the girl that he really liked. Oh, what's up, Sky?
Just to let you know, it's just you and me. Mom's upstairs, but it's just you and me now.
Okay. Then I might have to wrap this up. Not too quickly, but quickly enough. But yeah, so then a lion came and attacked him, and bro, with the mighty power of the Holy Spirit, he just tore that lion too like it was a sheet of paper. Just my family, my kids. I don't know if that's what lion said, but basically he killed Simba. So up next, sometime later, when he went back to marry her, he turned aside to look at the lion's carcass, and then he saw a swarm of bees and some honey. He scooped out the honey with his hands and ate as he went along, which we already know he was told he was not allowed to do that. But he did, so he already broke one of the rules. Yeah, this Samson doesn't seem like someone who really wants to follow God and just does his own thing. Now his father went down to see the woman, and there Samson held a feast, as was customary for young men. When the people saw him, they chose 30 men to be his companions. Let me tell you a riddle, Samson said to them. If you can give the answer within the 7 days of the feast, I will give you 30 lining garments and 30 sets of clothes. If you can't tell me the answer, you must give me 30 linen garments and 30 sets of clothes. Tell us your riddle, they said. Let's hear it. He replied, out of the eater something to eat, out of the strong something sweet. For 3 days they could not give the answer. On the 4th day they said to Samson's wife, coax your husband into explaining the riddle for us, or we will burn you and your father's household to death. Did you invite us here to steal our property? Then Samson's wife threw herself on him, sobbing, you hate me. You really don't love me. You're giving my people a riddle, but you haven't told me the answer. Sorry. Before sunset on the 7th day, they met. Wait. I haven't even explained it to my father or mother, he replied. So why should I explain it to you? She cried the whole 7 days of the feast. So on the 7th, I didn't know that. On the 7th day, he finally told her because she continued to press him. She in turn explained the riddle to her people. Before sunset on the 7th day, the men of the town said to him, What is sweeter than honey? What is stronger than a lion? Samson said to them, If you had not plowed with my heifer, you would not have solved my riddle. Yeah, he's upset. Then the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon him. He went down to Ashkelon, struck down 30 of their men, stripped them of everything, and gave their clothes to those who have explained the riddle. Burning with anger, he returned to his father's home, and Samson's wife was given to one of the companions who had attended him at the feast. Okay, I remember what happens after that. It was just that part of the story that I didn't remember. So basically, yeah, he was not happy with that. He had a riddle for them, and they couldn't figure out the riddle, and they threatened to burn his wife and his father's home if she didn't get the riddle for him, right? And so actually, after crying and begging for him to, he finally is like, okay, this is the answer. And then they told him the answer, and then he was all like, okay, I see how it is. And he killed 30 of their own men, took their robes and linens or linens, I don't even know how it's called because we don't wear that anymore, and gave it to them. And then let's just say they weren't really together anymore after that. But what did happen was he still liked her and he wanted to still be with her, but when he realized that she was with another man, he burned the fields by putting fire on the fox's tails. This guy is very he's very detailed. I will say that. He, like, how does he come up with this? Like, okay, how do I get back? I can easily just grab, like, I can easily just like get sticks, burn, and like just run around with my sticks, or I can get foxes and tie fire to their tail so they can burn the crops. I'm a genius. But then then the Philistines were like, okay, this is not good. He must pay. And they actually do kill her and her father's house. And oh man, Samson was not happy about that either. He grabbed a donkey's jaw and killed how many Philistines? Like, he killed like 100, maybe more actually. Yeah, this man was pretty powerful. He killed them all, every last one of them. Now, this is part of the story I do remember because he falls in love with yet another Philistine woman named Delilah. Now, we probably all have heard about this woman. So the Philistines were very scared about Samson, and so they decided to use Delilah. Now, she never really loved Samson. All she wanted was the money. That's the reason why she tried to get Samson's weakness to get the money. They were like, we'll give you a ton of money. Like, I don't remember how much, but it was a ton of money if they could find out Samson's weakness. And so she was like, okay, I got this. So she went the first time sobbing, Samson, why won't you tell me your weakness? Don't you love me? Blah, blah, blah. And the Samson was like, okay, yo, if you tie me up with very old rope, my strength will be gone. And she's like, and so she does. And then she was like, Samson, the Philistines are coming. And like snapping a twig, breaks through. Nothing happened. And she's like, you lied to me. You don't love me. You hate me. You despise me. You don't want me. And he's like, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. And what was the second thing that she used? Was it? There was another thing that she used. The second time. So Judges chapter 16. Okay. Oh, so no, the first one was bowstrings, and he broke for that. So imagine I just said that, but I said bowstrings. The second time it was rope that has never been used. So he was like, okay, if you just use a rope that has never been used, it's brand new, my strength will be gone. So again, she was like, he's telling me the truth this time because men never lie the second time. So she does, and she's all like, the Philistines are coming. And then he was like, and she was like, you don't love me. You are mean. You're a liar. You hate. And at that moment, he was like, okay, fine. Look. If you cut my hair, all of it, I will lose my strength. And again, she's like, so at night when he's sleeping, and the Philistines were somewhere outside of their house, she cuts his hair while he's sleeping, ties him up with these chains, and then she's all like, the Philistines are coming! And I know what you're thinking. Oh, useless. No. Because if y'all remember, Samson was not allowed to cut his hair. He lost his strength. He couldn't break through the chains. And the Philistines came and they plucked out his eyeballs. Why? Because, man, it's actually a good question. And Delilah got her money. She's like, and he's like, I can't see. But he went against God and he had to reap the consequences. He was a prisoner. And you know what they did to him? So there was these pillars at this temple of some kind. And they put him on these pillars. Well, actually, a little boy led him to those pillars. But he was not like a mean boy. I guess he was a good boy. He was a good boy. That sounds so weird, but that's what he was. And they put him on these pillars, and they were mocking him and making fun of him. And then, like, Samson knew, like, dude, you're all going to pay for this. And so he prays to God. But the thing about it that is so different is he wasn't asking God for forgiveness. He's like, God, please just give me my strength so I can just kill all these Philistines for taking out my eyes. At that moment, this was vengeance. But God did give him back his strength, and he pushed down those two pillars, killing him and all the Philistines that were around at that temple. Except for the little boy. He actually told the little boy to get as far away from the city as possible because he knew like he was going to do. But he was willing to kill himself just to kill these Philistines for taking out his eyes. And that was the end for Samson. Okay. 2 Bible characters. David, who killed the giant, and Samson, who had super strength. Now, obviously, if David and Samson went head to head, obviously, I feel like that would go to Samson. Because Samson has superhuman strength. He defeated entire armies. There was actually a moment where he just took down like a really giant door and just carried it with him. I mean, he killed like 100, maybe more men using a donkey's jaw. Like, okay, yeah, this guy is insane. However, this is but if we have like David perspective, he killed a giant with just a mere stone in a slingshot. And it's something that these two do have in common is they both have the Spirit of God with them. Now, if we're talking about weaknesses, if it comes to like super strength, I feel like David obviously is not as strong as Samson. Because Samson literally has superhuman strength. But the downfall of Samson is he is a prideful, arrogant man. And he was at the point where he had his hair cut, all because he decided to tell her, all because she kept asking him. Like, this guy was definitely not the smartest. David, however, not only was the smartest, but definitely had more of the Spirit of God with him than Samson did. But if we put those two together, like if God had to, like, for some reason put these two to battle, I feel like the victor would probably go to David. And the reason why I say that is because David had a stronger relationship with God. He was literally known as a man after God's own heart. And that is like literally saying something. Samson had the brute strength and all that, but the bigger they are, the harder they fall. And he did fall. He fell pretty hard, man. And David, obviously he made mistakes later on, but he was a great king, a great warrior. I have to give the victor to David because like I feel like David has such a higher potential because he has such a stronger connection with God, and I feel like God would have given him the victor over Samson. Yeah, Samson was a judge in the book of Judges, but he definitely did not have that strong relationship with God, and that cost him, and I feel like God would have given David that victor. Now, I'm not saying it would have been that easy. I mean, it might be a pretty brutal battle if it ever came to it, but I feel like the victor will go to David just because of that. I mean, maybe to you guys might be different. You might be like, nah, man, Samson's going to still win anyway because he's got brute force, and maybe he will. But listen, they both killed a lion. I mean, well, you teared it too. That's kind of cooler. But yeah, man, but I feel like maybe the victor will still go to David. That's just my personal opinion. But maybe for you guys, you may think, nah, it's going to be Samson. Or it could be a tie. I don't know how it could be a tie, but maybe it could be a tie. But that, ladies and gentlemen, was the first episode of Bible Verses. Not VERSES, VS. Let me know any other Bible characters you want to go against each other. We'll do their story, and then we'll see which one might be the victor. But, ladies and gentlemen, that was another episode of Flaco's Fun World Podcast. I hope you guys really enjoyed today's episode. And having said all that, may God bless, and I'll see you for more Flaco the Great.